shotglassdigital.com. Rebel Force Radio is brought to you in part by Little Debbie Snacks, bakers of all galactic goodness, like mini donuts, Star Crunch, cosmic cupcakes, cosmic brownies, nutty bars, and much more. It's all about celebrating your love of a galaxy far, far away, and Little Debbie is the fan's choice for all those sweet moments. Little Debbie, official snack of Rebel Force Radio, Rancho Obi-Wan, and fans around the galaxy.
Rebel Force Radio presents...
Hello, what have we here?
Fangirls Going Rogue.
I met her in a Jedi chat room.
Star Wars news, topics, and conversation from the female point of view.
I like the sound of that.
This is Fangirls Going Rogue.
So did you guys see that Dave Filoni's trying to get us to vote for Sabine as a 6-inch Black Series figure?
I think he is hoping to raise awareness that she's one of the options. And he was excited that she was the only Star Wars Rebels character that is in there. So, yes, I saw his tweet. I retweeted it. Fangirls Going Rogue retweeted it.
Ooh. I retweeted it, too. You know, here's the funny thing about that, though, is when he mentioned it, I saw a lot of people start going, oh, well, that must mean that she's going to be the lead role in a live-action movie, because his tweet said that he'll make sure we get a good live-action representation of her. And I think a lot of people went to the movies rather than thinking live-action type of action figure rather than cartoony action figure.
It could be a clue. I tweeted that it could be a clue. I don't think he tweets anything without exactly knowing what he intended to say. He is the king of dropping hints.
Well, welcome everybody to episode 21 of Fangirls Going Rogue. I am Teresa Delgado, one of your hosts, and with me are my co-hosts, Trisha Barr. Hey, Trisha.
Hi, everybody.
And Sarah Woloski. How are you?
I am doing excellent.
And we also have a special guest host with us today, and I'm just going to call her by her first name because that's how everybody should know her. It's Bria from Tashi Station and White Hot Room. Hey, girl, how are you?
Hey, everyone.
It's partially also because I can never figure out how to say your last name, so I just call you Bria.
No one ever can, don't worry.
Well, now I'm curious. What is it?
Livornia.
Oh, okay. Yes. All right.
See, I always want to actually say the G.
Nope.
So I mess it up every single time I try. Hey, this is my friend Bria.
She has the last name like Irish, Chernovice. There I go. Chernovice. See, every time I do it, I pause it, I freak out, and then I can't do it right. Sorry, Irish, we love you. And everybody scream, pass the corn.
There we go.
So what's going on in the news, Trisha?
We had the Force Awakens panel at San Diego Comic-Con this past week. And oh my gosh, the entire cast was there, including Harrison Ford with Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill. Yeah, and there was an amazing show reel, which we can see at StarWars.com. And then everybody's heard about this concert after the panel. I mean, they killed it with their Star Wars. Just the panel, it was like they came back to San Diego Comic-Con and nailed it. And it was so much fun because Sarah and Richard got up in the morning at 6:30 their time, 9:30 my time the next morning, and joined me on Hyperspace Theories to talk about everything we found out and to dig into the clues left behind for those people who kind of like to speculate like I do. So if you like the spoilers and the speculation and it's what you crave, then check out that podcast, Hyperspace Series, on my site, Fangirl Blog. And we'll talk more about The Force Awakens once D23 comes around. And by then, we may have some more info on Rogue One, which Kathleen Kennedy revealed will start filming in a couple weeks. We're not going to get anything on this movie until after Rogue Nation, the Mission Possible movie, comes out. But I really can't wait until that happens because I want to hear something about this movie.
We will very soon. When does Rogue Nation come out?
Good question.
July 31st.
August? I think it's the first weekend of August.
All I can say is I was so disappointed in that trailer when I saw it because it's just like, oh, look, guy doing action thing, girl in a sexy outfit, guy in action thing, girl doing in a sexy outfit. I'm like, oh.
What do you expect? It's like James Bond. It's the same thing.
Yeah. I think they could grow up, though, maybe, at least. I'm sure she's doing awesome things, but it's always, slit dress. It was just kind of okay, especially when it was smashed up against the Hunger Games trailer, which is like, oh, look at all the diversity and all the women doing cool things too. So,
oh, Hunger Games.
Yes. Well, before the Hunger Games, we had the Star Wars Rebels premiere on June 22nd. And man, that was exciting. I know we saw it at Star Wars Celebration Anaheim, but it was such a crazy day because we had our pajama party. We had all the Star Wars Rebels panels that morning. So I think when I sat down to watch that premiere at Star Wars Celebration, my head was just so full of stuff. I couldn't retain too much. So when I watched it again on June 22nd, I had a chance to really take it in. My favorite thing was just Darth Vader's McQuarrie-esque design. I just love that. Do you guys have any thoughts on that, on the premiere?
Bria was one of the fangirl flailers in the Ahsoka video, right?
She was.
Oh, that's right.
She had the best face I've ever seen.
Oh, God. Please no one go look that up.
So, Bria, what made you flail in that video?
Well, confession, it was not Ahsoka. I was too stuck on all the Space Married stuff. It was the whole scene in the corridor.
Okay.
Where they're like, let's just slam Kanan up against a wall and have this conversation. And I think I almost died a little bit.
Well, I love that scene because people talk about they want romance or chemistry in something, and that just it didn't show anything romantic, but there was chemistry there in the way I think that people really liked Empire Strikes Back and the kind of the interplay between Han and Leia in that movie. So yeah, Space Married, definitely. I loved it. I loved Vader.
Yes.
Yeah. And I was so excited for everybody to get to see that Vader part because we were trying to be very good and not spoil that and let all our friends sort of enjoy the moment. Although I don't know if you could recreate the way the room was actually vibrating with the sound, when they played it in the, premiere. It was kind of like, wow, oh man, this is really awesome.
Well, as cool as it was seeing it at Celebration, seeing it at my house with my family and my nephew was even cooler. And it was partially because shortly before the show came on, I had tweeted out a picture of my nephew in his Rebel shirt and that he was excited for Star Wars Rebels. Well, I get a text from our friend Steve who says, well, how old's your nephew and what's his name? And so I told him, and he sent me some recordings to play for my nephew from Zeb, talking to him about watching Rebels and about how awesome he is and how he should join the rebellion and like all kinds of other really cool stuff. So my nephew was pretty excited.
That's awesome. Wow. How cool is that?
I know. It was just a really neat thing. And he said to me, how does he know my name? And I said, well, because I know Zeb. And he's like, but he's a cartoon. I was like, I know, but I know him. And he's like, but he's a cartoon. And I'm like, okay, well, I know his voice. And he goes, oh, well, that makes more sense. I was like, man, I was trying to keep up the front. You're 5. Apparently he's too smart for that. But he did think it was very cool that he got a message from a cartoon character.
That is pretty cool. I'm ready for more Rebels. And it's going to be a while now.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, a long while.
We need a date already.
I know. Do you guys wonder if maybe they dropped it for like a reason? It needed to get out there before these July and August big San Diego Comic-Con and then also D23.
The only thing I can think of is by putting it out in the summer, kids will have a chance to obsess over it. And then when it comes to buying school supplies for the next, semester, they're going to want Star Wars Rebels stuff.
There you go.
They're That's Star Wars Rebels lunchbox, backpacks, all that kind of, that makes perfect sense.
Vader stuff on their, the new and Ahsoka too. You can have both of them. That would be cool on everything.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. I mean, my nephew wanted a new pair of Darth Vader light up tennis shoes the other day. He loves Darth Vader. But yeah, that's probably why they did it in the summer. But we do need a release date because we now have the release date for Guardians of the Galaxy, which is on the same channel. So
that's right. I'm excited about that one too.
Count me in.
Since we have all these cool new female Star Wars characters and everything like that, it's only appropriate that we get a Star Wars makeup line. What do you guys think?
Woohoo! I'm so excited.
I mean, we don't have a lot. We've got one small article that our friend Jonah Marie caught and put on her site, the Wookiee Gunner, and I forget, she got it off of Rebel Scum. They just had some images, but CoverGirl is going to be doing a Force Awakens makeup collection. All we really know is that it's kind of coming in the wakes of them doing like a Hunger Games one previously. We know that there's a dark side and a light side. We know that they've done some possible like ways you could do your makeup. They have things like the Apprentice collection or the Stormtrooper, things like that. There looks to be mascara and some eyeliner, maybe some lipsticks or lip gloss, things like that. But there's not a whole lot other than that.
Hey, what more do you need to know that you can go and buy mascara with Star Wars The Force Awakens? I can't wait until a completist collector has to buy mascara for their Star Wars collection.
Oh, yeah. Boy. Yeah. Bria, what do you think about the CoverGirl set?
I'm actually not really a makeup person.
Oh, okay.
Embarrassingly enough, but I will totally buy it. Don't get me wrong. You put Star Wars on something and I will buy it, especially if it's nail polish. That's how they got me for the Hunger Games.
And there are nail polishes in this one too.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy them all.
Wow. I want to totally do the droid look and chrome. I'm feeling chrome, which has to be Captain Phasma. So yeah. The different looks. And if you go read the article, there's possible spoiler lines that are on the mascara. So just so you know, if you go on there and you don't want to know anything from the movie, don't go looking there because you will get 3 lines from the movie that have no context.
Right.
One of them we know. They've said it in the trailer. There has been an awakening. It's appropriate that it's on your mascara because that's what makes you look awake.
Exactly.
That or concealer.
Mascara is like the one thing you have to have.
It's true.
Yeah, and lip gloss. If you want to look like you're not dead, mascara is the trick. So
yeah, I'm just a complete sucker for themed makeup sets. Like Disney has their whole Disney beauty line, and I
love it.
Yeah, I have to get something from like every collection. I have Cinderella, I have Ariel stuff, I have Tinkerbell stuff. Oh, it's amazing.
Their brushes are even really cool.
Mm-hmm. I've got my brushes.
We're makeup suckers, Sarah.
It's true. We totally are.
And I don't even wear it that much, but I have it. I have a huge collection of makeup, and I'm like, it's so pretty.
Yep. They didn't even need to focus group you guys to know that you would buy it.
Nope. Take my money. Here. Throwing it at the screen.
She literally is throwing it at the guys. It's like Magic Mike in here.
Well, let's not get into that because I could go on about that one, but okay. All right, is this my transition now?
It is yours.
Whoops.
Roll it, Rob Dellinger.
Shout it out to the social media from Teresa and Trisha and Sarah. Shout it out, fangirl shout outs.
Well, we have some awesome tweeters out there who tweet at Fangirls Going Rogue. And if you want to tweet at us right now, you can always tweet at FG Going Rogue and let us know how you're liking the show so far. Well, I want to bring up a couple of tweets we got from the last episode. And Ryan at the Arrowbreaker, he tweeted, "Loving episode 20. Disney World has had female masters for years. My daughter had the same master in 2012. And he gave a picture of his daughter with the female Jedi Master, responding to our talk about female Jedi Masters at Disneyland and Disney World. And it's the cutest picture ever. I love that. So thank you, Ryan, at the Arrowbreaker. And now we have Jeremy Hunt. He is at Duncan HIH, and he tweeted, "Our little fangirl just got this for her birthday," and attached was a picture of his little fangirl holding up a Fangirls Going Rogue t-shirt. So that was really exciting. And I hope that she really enjoys her Fangirls Going Rogue t-shirt. And it's cool to know that like families listen to this show.
Oh, I love it. Well, I did a couple of new things on Twitter and stuff and on our Facebook page where I was doing showdowns between some characters. So from our very first showdown that I did, it was a Twi'lek showdown between Hera and Ayla, just because I know they're kind of favorites. Well, Hera won kind of by a landslide, but I wanted to point out one of our people who voted. Her name on Facebook is Saranthea Kelberry, and she said, Hera, the idealist, the heart and soul of the crew, they'd be lost without her. I think we could all agree with that.
She nailed it.
But a lot of people were saying Hera just because of her leadership skills and, that we don't see enough of Ayla Secura, but I know that Ayla is a favorite for a lot of people. And then I also did another one that was between a Varactyl and a Nexu, who are my two favorite creatures. And the Varactyl won. And we had a lot of people cheering afterwards, including Trisha, for Boga. But Eric from our Facebook page, his comment said Nexu, only because it reminds me of my cat. And I just want to say, Eric, your cat must be frightening. Even though I want one too, but scared. If that's the Nexu, because it's the picture I got was the Nexu from Geonosis, so he's scared. He's not tame.
Yeah. If you get adopted by Han and Leia, you can have a Nexu for a pet.
I know.
To go there.
I know, and I want one.
You can.
Somebody let me have one. Either that, or I want a Loth cat as a pet. I'm not sure which one.
Oh,
yeah.
I know, Bria. You guys have to like Loth cat. You have that cool shirt on House Organa, right?
We do. We had fun coming up with that one.
Loth cats. Anyway, and we had to pick our winners for the giveaway from Fangirls Going Rogue. Amy's little piece of fangirl flail jewelry, and then also we had Think Geek earrings that were on our giveaway. And so I asked Teresa to pick numbers of the people who did the I want to #fangirl flail with @going_rogue. And the winner of the Amy Geek jewelry is @happygeekgirl on Twitter. And that's Danielle J is what her name is. And she's a big Disney fan, I see from her tweets. So I'm definitely following her. She was having fun. And then the winner of the Think Geek earrings is Senorita-O, and that's @SENORITAO or Mrs. O. And both of you guys, if you hear this, send us an email at
it's fangirlsgoingrogue@gmail.com.
Thank you, Teresa.
You're welcome. And it's also Senorita O.
Senorita O.
Ah, yes.
I didn't even read that. I was looking at the cat O. I'm sorry, Senorita O.
There was no what is epilout? No, what is that called?
No,
Tilda?
Tilda.
Thank you.
There's 5 years of Spanish, and
yeah.
And I can't read it in Twitter, apparently. Oh, man. Woo.
I'm a teacher. Just saying.
Do you teach Spanish? What does that have to do with anything?
No, I don't. But see, okay, no, I don't. So I could get away with it, except for the fact that I'm Hispanic, so I can't. So I'm kind of screwed either way.
And you're a teacher in Texas, so do people call you Senorita?
Only children who have a death wish. I'm just kidding.
Wow.
Don't call her Senorita. Alrighty. And congratulations to Bruce Gibson, who did get his copy of Ultimate Star Wars finally signed in the mail. The post office and I were having a little bit of an issue because I said, it's got to be like 4 pounds. And they sent it back to me. They're like, no, it's 6 pounds. I'm like, the book is 6 pounds. So that'll teach me not to weigh it. I thought it was being conservative. So it got to Bruce after I tried to just guess weight. There you go. There's the lesson of the day. And we want to thank, again, Sandra, who is at GeekChic9. That's Geek. Oh my God, I can't even talk. GeekChic9 on Twitter and Instagram. And she's doing great work helping us tweet and Instagram on the Fangirls Going Rogue accounts. And then also you can listen to Sandra, who was on our last episode for us to talk about the music. She's on her first full podcast. She came on Fangirl Chat and talked with Teresa and I about teaching with geekdom. And then Erish joined us to talk about Inside Out. Oh, and Sarah was on that too. So it was the whole gang plus Erish on that one. So you guys can check those out on Fangirl Chat.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now Fangirl Chat is on iTunes.
iTunes.
I can't speak either. Yes, it's on iTunes, which I love. So I've been listening to those shows. It's fun.
Yay!
I know. All right. Well, I think we should head back. I know Star Wars Weekends this year is over, but let's head back because we never got the debriefing on the final Star Wars Weekends, number 5, which had Frank Oz in his very first appearance, really, talking about Star Wars.
He was amazing.
Oh, yeah. So you were there, Trisha, right?
I was there, and I was just kind of floored by how profound he was. All his characters, it seems like they're funny. All these Muppets, even Yoda is funny. He makes us laugh. He's introduced with humor, and then we kind of get in on the game of who they are. But every character, Miss Piggy, he talked about Cookie Monster. Every character, there's always a core sadness to the character, and he was talking about these things, how he just can't do a character. He has to essentially create a whole story. And he was like, yeah, I could tell you the whole backstory on Miss Piggy. I could tell you the whole backstory on the Cookie Monster. I was like, crazy when he's talking about how much he thinks about the characters. So
what is Cookie Monster's backstory?
He wants a cookie.
He does.
But didn't he say he was given Cookie Monster was given the option, he won some contest, and he was given the option to win $1 million to go on a vacation to an exotic locale for free or to have a cookie. Guess what he chose?
The cookie.
Yes.
Yeah, the cookie. But it's great because he talks about the motivations of characters, and I recorded it and passed it along to Skywalking Through Neverland, so they have it. And you also have that was the second.
Yes,
show.
so yeah, he did a total. Frank Oz did a total of 3 shows that weekend, and so we have the first 2 shows. So you recorded that Saturday one, and the Friday one was recorded by Kevin Raider Nerd Reitzel, and both complete shows are on our bonus content on Skywalking Through Neverland. So you can search for that on iTunes as well. They're amazing to listen to. And they're great sound quality. You know, I just love hearing his stories.
And it's all right. I would definitely recommend listening to them. He didn't talk too much about Yoda on the one that I went to, but he did tell a great story about, at one point he realized that Irvin Kershner was directing Yoda and not, he's
not
like,
him.
Hey, I'm down here. Why are you talking to the puppet? Like he's actually directing him. So it was sort of funny. But, the puppet worked in Empire Strikes Back, and Frank is part of that equation. And he was very generous in attributing a lot of the reason that Yoda works to Mark Hamill as well. So, which is true because he has to sell it to you. He has to sell that he's not talking to a puppet and he's talking to an actual living being. So it was really, really cool. And then Peter Mayhew was there, and he's been a Star Wars Weekends regular. And so he talked a little bit about why Chewbacca works and also a little bit about The Force Awakens. So we'll play that.
When Chewie's around, you know everything's okay, you know? You've said this many times, he's just a big teddy bear kind of guy.
Yeah, he is. How many people here, throughout the age group, have had either security blanket or teddy bear? Everybody's had one. And I've seen guys coming up at one of our conventions with the bikers in leathers.
Biker guys?
Yeah. And him with the vest on. And this guy had a tiny Lego Chewie just sticking out
of his vest and everything. That is awesome.
Funny.
Yeah. So now I have to ask because we've been kind of talking about it here as a small group. Have you been working on anything lately?
I got an offer for a movie.
A little movie?
Almost didn't take it, but I decided to do it. It's
Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Yeah, Chewbacca. We talked a little bit about this yesterday, about what it's like to get that phone call. Yep. And to know that you're going to go back in the studio to shoot Chewbacca on the things, in the scenes rather. But how was it then seeing Harrison again and Mark and Carrie?
Well, it was wonderful because we got the phone call and everything was done, contracts and everything was signed. Little did we know that we were going to be shooting in England.
Oh, you didn't know that? Yeah.
No. It was, obviously it was the logical thing to do.
Right.
But, I was dreaming Hollywood and this sort of stuff. But they said, no, Shepperton, which was one of the original scenes.
Shepperton was one of the studios you shot?
Yeah. Where Empire was shot.
Oh, okay.
The big hangar scene was in...
Yeah, like we got right there.
Where they built that.
Yeah.
And so we go over there and survive the journey, even in the Falcon. It's as quick as anything.
The Falcon is a fast ship.
Yeah.
Fast ship? Okay. Kessel Run? Yeah.
So we get there and we settle in and everything. And there's phone calls from JJ or Kathleen.
And you were saying what a dream it was to work with JJ because he's just such a great filmmaker, but has such a love for this.
And they said, right, we're having a reading, script reading.
Sure.
Then we'll go out to dinner.
Oh, nice.
So, screw the script reading. I'm going out to dinner.
Well, it's really cool to see him, just talk about Chewbacca because Chewbacca's who a lot of people relate to, but I thought it was just interesting that he mentioned that Mark Hamill narrated the cast read on that famous photo when they all sat down and read for the first time and learned it. So I hope he did it like in the Batman voice, but probably Joker voice. Joker voice. So, but that probably didn't happen. But that would be kind of funny if he had of. So.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome.
And then we got to hear from one of Teresa's favorite.
No, not aw. It's like, like you're so hot. I love you.
Are we talking about Ray Park?
We're talking about... No.
We're talking about Darth Maul?
Yes.
Yes.
Bo, she likes both.
I can understand that.
I love them both.
They love them both.
Don't play this part. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, she's going to be sad. No, Ray Park is really awesome. Just talking about that Star Wars was the reason he got into martial arts. So we'll listen to him talk about that.
We're just talking backstage about Star Wars before the prequels and you growing up with them. And they had something to do with what you do too, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like Empire Strikes Back was the first Star Wars movie. It was the release of Empire, but they showed New Hope first. And it was the first movie, because I live in London, Jeremy was talking about it last week.
Yeah.
We used to go and see movies in black and white. It was a Saturday matinee, my cousin used to take me. And so Star Wars was the first big, massive movie.
Yeah.
And seeing Luke training
on Dagobah with Yoda.
Yeah. With Yoda and doing the flips with Yoda on his back and handstands and it just got me. I was jumping around anyway because I wanted to be like Bruce Lee, but that really cemented it. I wanted to do gymnastics and martial arts afterwards.
That is so cool. And then you were talking about like how he had Yoda strapped to you.
Yeah, so crazy thing. So I used to teach gymnastics as well in my teens, and I was so blown away. This is how much you can believe in the movies, which is great. So when I became a gymnast, and it wasn't my kid, so I would never do it to someone else's child. I thought one day when I'm a dad, I'm going to get my child, and I'm going to try and do a front somersault on, you get those kangaroo sacks, you can put them in. So I thought about it, like, would I be able to do this with my little one? And so we got a trampoline, and my kids were a little bit older, and we I had them on my shoulders bouncing. I tell you, I will never ever do that. It's really hard to have your child's life in your hands like that, and bouncing, going,
Yeah.
So,
and your children are versed in martial arts and gymnastics?
Yeah, they've played around in like martial arts. At home, we play around because I always get asked, "Do you teach your kids martial arts?"
Yeah.
And I don't, because I've seen other masters' kids disliking martial arts.
Sure.
So I wanted to be their dad and not their martial art teacher. But I do goof around. Like we touch around with the animal styles.
Yeah.
At home, my kids always want to beat you up.
Yeah.
And I always like move around and do the snake and like, so that's my way of teaching them.
Well, they are beautiful children and fantastic and just wonderful to be around. So you're doing good work, you and your lovely wife. But so the other thing that we were talking about is I never could do flips or anything, and I'm asking Ray, how do you do that? Do you go and get taught and trained? No, you taught yourself how to do this stuff.
Yeah, taught myself, and again because of films and Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee, and I used to talk about it on the visit to the mall.
Yeah.
The reason why I wanted to learn monkey was because of the backflips in it.
Yeah.
So I was so scared of doing flips because of the whole fear of landing on your face. And I always used to tell my gymnasts, don't worry, just land on your face. What's the worst that can happen? Because once you get past that fear of landing on your face, it's not such a big deal anymore, because you get very good at landing on your face. And so I told myself, if I'm going to fall, I'm going to fall cool.
Okay.
So I told myself to fall really cool. And so I even got to the point where I would challenge my dad and said, I'm going to get this backflip, this back handspring.
Yeah.
So I grabbed my bed mattress, because I used to share a room with my brother, pull it out of my bedroom, go across the main road, because I live
with
flat.
The mattress. You're dragging the mattress.
Put it on the grass, and asked my mum to watch me from their window, so it would egg me on to do a backflip, and I still couldn't do it. It was like, you're there, and back then, because it's self-taught, you're like,
good.
You watching, Mum? And what really did it for me, I started to go to gymnastics school at 15, and just to learn and bounce on the floor and, jump on a trampoline. And this little 8-year-old gymnast was like, "Oh, mister, you look silly doing that. You look really funny." And she walks like this, she goes, "Look." Just like that. And I felt really silly, and I was like, okay. Practice to be a gymnast.
And not only did he do his shows, he did an interview for Fangirls Going Rogue.
I'm so jealous of you right now. You have no idea.
I know it was really hard. And the cool thing is this was all during the Rebel Force Radio meetup. So they were essentially doing like room scramble with Jimmy Mack and Steve Glosson, and then I was running. Yeah, and then so we were all running around different rooms, and you literally didn't get any setup. So, but you want to at least tell Ray Park like who we are and what we talk about. So I literally gave him like the 15-second, Fangirls Going Rogue. We're popular podcast, and we try to keep it family friendly, talk about kids and from the girls' perspective. So, and then boom, here's a question. So, and he was really great. So let's hear what Ray Park had to say.
So, Ray Park, how was your celebration this year?
Great, really good, fantastic.
One of my friends sent me a text in the middle of celebration. She got to meet you in the hotel down in the bar. So, what's it like to just hang with Star Wars fans?
For celebration, celebration was like no other. Like it was because it's been some years since I've been to celebration, and so with my kids being there and then sharing that with them, it was good because I got to hang with the 501st at the hotel lobby, and it was great. It was the spirit of Star Wars,
yes.
And it was good to sort of feel that. It's great to be Star Wars weekend, but celebration was like an extension of that, and it was a good build up to do celebration and then come to Star Wars weekends here. So it's a lot of fun. It's been a good couple of months of Star Wars.
So we were just recording a recent episode, and we were doing musical moments, and every single one of us picked Duel of the Fates, which is the big battle with Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. So you're in there, and Teresa, one of our hosts, you are her favorite character. So, and a lot of my friends, you played Darth Maul, their favorite character. When you were back creating what you were doing back then, what did you want to bring to Darth Maul? What was the piece that you were trying to bring when you were shaping
because I have a very heavy physical background. A lot of my characters have come from the physical side of me and martial art gymnastic side. And with Darth Maul, it came more from the actions I was doing, and I felt like before I landed the part, and I was rehearsing the fight scenes with Nick Gillard and the other stunt guys we were rehearsing a fight to show George on the style of fighting. I felt like Darth Maul was more of a distinguished gentleman type Sith, without being, because I remember seeing bad guys in movies, and I felt as a kid it was better not to show a lot of emotion, anger. It was better. The guys that scared me the most were the guys that didn't show their emotions. It was the quiet ones, and so I tried to be like that with Darth Maul. It was more on how he was as a confident swordsman, and I just had fun with it, and I was just going along with it, and I learned more and more every time we rehearsed.
Well, but he brought out some emotion there when you actually played him, which is one of our favorite parts.
Yeah, his emotion came through his body and how he looked, and in martial arts, a lot of the old masters, or when you're performing forms, depending on what kind of form you're doing, you wouldn't show any tiredness or it's called not an empty stare, but like the spirit stare. You would have that the spirit of what you're doing, and so I would be like that with Darth Maul. Of course, with the guidance from George as well, on how to be, and then you just sort of, it develops as you go along, and then you get more ideas afterwards, but then it's too late. You've already done it.
Well, it was awesome what you did, and then you come here to Star Wars weekends, and you share all these experiences with kids, which is some of my favorite stuff. I've been to your stage shows over the years that you've done it. What do you want to impart to the children while you're showing them this martial arts stuff? What are you trying to teach them?
Just that confidence in themselves, fun, enjoying themselves, and as a kid growing up watching movies, I wasn't one to root for the bad guys. I was always the good guys. But I found because of how kids are with Darth Maul, it's good to show something positive with a character I was so bad with. Not bad, but played a bad character. And they just loved Darth Maul. So I get to show a side of me, my personality, and they get to, this bad character, Sith character, but then they get to meet me, and then I get to have fun with them, and I just want them to enjoy themselves and to believe in themselves and have fun.
We appreciate that. All my nieces and nephews are all taking martial arts, and it's a good way for them to learn discipline and control. Do you recommend it for people, for their children?
Yeah, it helped me. So I was a kid that wanted to climb buildings, and in London at the time we had a lot of buses that were open backed. No doors, so you could just jump out. I was that kid jumping out at 30 miles an hour. I would miss the bus just on purpose so I could run after it and jump on the back.
Maybe to focus your energy a little bit.
It was good for me, and that's what I wanted to do. It was just, my parents said I wasn't one to, I wanted to do that. I was always one that looked out the window and go, I want to be on the field playing soccer or doing sports, and I was always very energetic. So it's good for kids.
We appreciate you
and adults.
Oh, yes.
And big kids.
And big kids, yes. And adults.
So needless to say, did you get a picture with Ray Park at all or anything? Or did they whisk you off to the next room?
And the funny thing was when we were all started sitting down, cooling off, Steve Glosson said, he's like, man, that guy's just like, he fills a room. He's a little guy. And you're just standing next to him and you're like, man, I would not mess with this guy. But he's smiling. He's friendly, the nicest guy, but I would not mess with him.
Interesting.
And then we finally completed our Star Wars Rebels cast. Woo!
Yay!
With Taylor Gray, who was amazing to talk to. And you know what he talked about? And just blew me away. He talked about just being a new fan and how cool Star Wars fans and accepting new fans and how we fans sort of give him knowledge and how he can share that and blow the super Star Wars fans of the Star Wars Rebels crew away sometimes. So you guys, next time you talk to Taylor Gray on Twitter, just give him a little bit of knowledge that he can blow Vanessa Marshall and Dave Filoni away with. Ray Combs Jr. So here, he'll tell you how to do that, though, on this interview.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Taylor Gray, you are our last interview from the team of the Ghost for Fangirls Going Rogue. So
very cool. So you've had Tia, you've had Steve, you had Vanessa.
Yes.
And you have Freddie?
Yes.
Oh, awesome.
We did him for interview at Celebration.
Oh, very cool.
So you were here last year for Star Wars weekends.
Mm-hmm.
Did it prepare you for Celebration?
As much as it could have, because I had never been to a Celebration. Everyone there was hyping it, and they're like, you think this is... Because I kept telling everyone it was my first time. I was like, this is unbelievable. I've never seen anything like this. And this is the first last year's weekend. And they're like, if you think this is big, wait till you go to a Celebration. I was like, okay, well, like, we'll see what you guys are talking about. And I kept thinking, like, well, it's at my home, Anaheim. Like, I grew up literally 5 minutes away from Anaheim. So I was like, oh, like, that'll be easy. I've never seen that many people, and that many people dressed up in Star Wars. You could have cast the entire 6 movies from the people that were there. Do you know what I mean? I don't think any character went unaccounted for there, which is, I think, pretty amazing and goes to show why this is such a big franchise.
Well, I've been to 4. And
4 celebrations.
Yes, so that was the biggest and most amazing even for me.
This last one?
This last one.
Really?
So you got the best, and we've
Crazy.
never had experience sitting in a room like that to watch an animated show premiere with 5,000 people.
Yeah, I would have never guessed that. And they were saying, like, yeah, wait till you see so many people. I would never have guessed that coming out of an animated show on Disney, which is so awesome.
Did you have a special memory, something that just stuck out from all that amazing?
It had to be walking out onto that first stage that we were in, because they were like, yeah, there'll be a handful of people in here, and when they announce your name and you come out and the room erupted, you felt like you were in, I don't know, The Who coming out to play like a reunion tour. Like, it just was unbelievable, and that's like the rock star feeling. And then on top of it, I hadn't seen the trailer, so when we all watched it together, that was the first time I'd seen it too, and it was unbelievable. And seeing how they reacted to like Rex and everyone being back and like Vader, it was just the most fun thing.
It was an incredible experience.
Oh yeah.
So at the Kathleen Kennedy J.J. Abrams panel, Anthony Bresnikan of Entertainment Weekly asked them who they would be in Star Wars. So if you couldn't be Ezra, who would you be?
I have 2 answers for that. One would be like the bartender at the cantina. I think that would be a fun, obscure, like, you get to see the wildest of people. But 2, if I could be anyone, it would be Han Solo, because he is the coolest dude ever in any movies. He just has this swagger of, he's a cowboy. Like, he's the coolest thing you could possibly imagine. And I know Ezra is more akin to Luke Skywalker in that whole journey, but I think Han Solo is the coolest.
Well, I just wrote an article on Han Solo for the latest Star Wars Insider, which talks about how cool he is. So
yeah.
I'm agreeing with you.
Very cool.
Yeah, he's very cool. I like that. You kind of seem like you have a family dynamic recording with everybody you get to record. And Tia was saying that you guys have a lot of fun. And it seems like Steve Bloom, he was here week 3. He showed us how he put some emphasis on your action and reaction recording.
Yeah.
He helps that along. So if he's the goofball, Vanessa's sort of the mother, what are you in the group?
What am I? I'm like the I'm like the younger brother of everything. I also don't know nearly as much Star Wars as Vanessa or Freddie. So it started with when I came in and saw Dave Filoni. People that I don't know if a lot of people know, he is the biggest Star Wars fanatic in the world and loves Star Wars and knows it and keeps such good care of it, more so than anybody. But in addition to that, he knows more about hockey than most people as well. And that's something I can talk. So I came in talking sports to him, and they always will make like Star Wars jokes, and then after they'll be like, Taylor, do you know who that is? And now I've done more research and I can name more characters, probably triple the amount I could when I first came in, but still, that's what it is. They like to make a lot of jokes about my knowledge of the universe.
Well, but you have to start somewhere.
Exactly, right? And people have been so accepting because fans get it. Like, fans come in at whatever time, and they've come and they've told me things because they know, like, oh, Taylor doesn't know as much as, like, Vanessa, whereas Vanessa knows a ton. And they'll come in and be like, here, say this next time you're around her, and I will. And it will blow their socks off, which is always fun. and it gives fans something to bring to me, which is very cool as well, which I think is awesome.
I love that. I love sharing knowledge with people.
Yeah, and everyone has their sentiments about Star Wars and it's unique to every person, which that's what makes it so special.
So you're creating another new, unique character
Mhm.
that is going to be part of the Star Wars lore. Do you ever have a moment where you're like, I'm doing this, this is incredible?
At these, honestly, when we're doing it, it's like, it feels like another job. Like, I'm very close to the character, and I constantly want to make the character stronger as a person. I want to make it more dynamic as an actor, and that I look at each week, just going to a job and doing my work. But then when we come to these things or celebrations, and you talk to fans and you see how grand everything is, you then step back. Like, even right now, like, I'll have moments where I'm like, yeah, this is really happening. This is going to be a part of this huge, huge universe, and I feel like this little pebble that I hope makes it all better.
So what are you going to be doing on June 20th?
June 20th, I will be on the couch with some popcorn and maybe I don't have ices, a soda, and watching the premiere, which is going to be fantastic.
Are you going to be tweeting along with fans and enjoying it? Or
I need to. Yeah, I should, because you know what? I if not the first episode, then the second. But yeah, I'll tweet along with one of these episodes coming up. The premiere would be a good one.
And
too.
where can people follow you on Twitter so they can tweet say we loved it, it was amazing?
On Twitter, it's I am Taylor Gray.
Awesome. We'll make sure to put it in the show notes.
Awesome.
We really appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you. I think this is awesome.
So what do you guys think of the new kind of Ezra the leader on Star Wars Rebels?
Blueberry the leader? I think it's great.
Well, he's definitely part of the team, you know? I mean, he has a say now.
Yeah, he got to do the sort of essential briefing of how this mission is going to go down.
Yeah.
Type thing. But I also felt that probably for Ezra, this was the most personal loss, as far as it's his home world that this is happening to. So he had the most stakes in what was going on as far as the siege of Lothal, and the most to lose in that episode. And that really shined. You forget about that. That's his home world and what's happening. But I love that he sort of stepped up. He's now part of the team, as opposed to where he was at the beginning of season 1, which was not part of the team.
Right. He basically was the first time he was ever in space and not on Lothal, was in the very first episode of Star Wars Rebels.
I'm in space.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Well, and in case you guys didn't know, we all do some other podcasts. So I was going to give everybody a chance here to kind of talk about some of the things that they do outside of Fangirls Going Rogue. So Trisha, tell us about one of your other shows.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about Star Wars Rebels on Hyperspace Theories, which I do with Geek K and BJ Priester from Fangirl Blog. And that's really going into storytelling, character design, and even how to use that information to speculate. We do get spoilery sometimes, or we do talk about the spoilers that are out there for different Star Wars events. But most of it's about really how to bring storytelling and world building. And we got into Star Wars Rebels and a little bit about the siege and how it may play a role in the galaxy going forward. Talking about resources, which came into Star Wars Rebels when they stopped to get those shield generators. I believe they were along the way. So anyway, that's what we did.
And Sarah, what about you?
Yes. So on Skywalking Through Neverland, we went into the winks, nods, and Easter eggs of Star Wars Rebels Season 2 premiere. So what was just those little Easter eggs, and then also the music. I brought, we play some music on there from the original trilogy back to back with some of the music from Star Wars Rebels premiere, and just to see just how close and similar they are, and what tracks that Kevin Kiner decided to use. And that was a really fun discussion. Yeah, so that's on Skywalking Through Neverland. It
was really cool because I listened to your guys' show and then I watched Rebels again, and I was like, oh yeah, I get it. So that was really cool to get those sort of hear the musical beats and then see them in the show again. So that's how I did it.
Nice.
And so Sarah, if people are listening and they don't know what an Easter egg is, explain that.
Okay, so basically it's like when the whole Rebel cell is coming back to the main Rebels and Hera gives them the clearance code of 121815. Well, if you write that out, That's 12/18/2015. So there you go. So that's kind of like an Easter egg.
Is that an important day?
I think so. It's an important day. It's all burned in our brains.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So that's like a little Easter egg, something that's put in there that if you're an Uber fan, you'll get.
Yep. Well, and then if you're me, I do a show called Disney Vault Talk, and then I do a kind of spin-off show called Disney Vault Talk's Rebel Yell. And on Rebel Yell, the last one we did, we talked about the Siege of Lothal. We kind of broke it down. And what we call the Rebel Yell Council was back, which consists of Eric Chernovice, Geek K, me, Steve Glosson. The only person that was missing was Aaron Goins because he was on vacation. But we got back together and we talked all about the Siege of Lothal. And I think it was a pretty stellar episode. So if you don't listen to Rebel Yell, head on over there and check it out because it's really fun. It has its own iTunes feed, or you can also catch it in the Disney Vault Talk feed.
Bree, did you get a chance to podcast about Star Wars Rebels, the premiere?
No, this is the first time I'm talking about it.
Woo! Woo! Well, Bree has been on our list to come on the show. She is a voice of the fandom, and you blog on Tashi Station, and also you do the podcasting, and you have another site, White Hot Room. How did you become this fan who decided to get engaged in all these things? When did Star Wars start to be your thing?
Well, there wasn't really a time when I wasn't a Star Wars fan. I don't know a time when I did not know that Darth Vader was Luke's father. So I kind of just grew up with it. I guess my uncle decided I needed to see those films. So thanks for that. For fandom, I sort of tripped into it. I ended up on the Force.net's, the Jedi Council boards back when I was 13 for the fan fiction. Was around there for a while, sort of drifted away when I went to college. And then Mercy Kill came out. And at the time I was doing some writing, not like tons, but just the occasional piece for a site that was run by one of the regulars at the comic store I worked at. And he wasn't really posting the pieces I would give him very quickly. So I wrote a Mercy Kill review, and I went to my friend Brian, who had just started Tashi Station a couple months ago. And I said, hey, I've got a review of Mercy Kill. Do you want it? He said, yeah, sure. Here, have a login. Welcome to the staff. And that happened.
That's one way to do it.
Yeah. And then I think about 3 months later, I decided, because I was bored, that I wanted to do a blog project. It became the Walroo Express, and I think I was in for good at that point.
Yeah, the Walroo Express is definitely fantastic. I loved reading it. It was hysterical to sort of see you. I think didn't sometimes you even tweet while you were reading the book?
Yeah. I know one of the ones I definitely live tweeted was the second half of Republic Commando Order 66, because I think I just could not handle the stupidity of some of the characters. Like, I love them and I like that book, but I know what they're going to do. And it took me like 20 minutes just to get through 5 pages. I kept shutting the book, tweeting angrily, and then opening the book again. I live streamed myself reading The Crystal Star. That was a terrible idea.
Wow. Well, it is a fun way to interact with people and get vent, I suppose.
Yes. If anyone's looking for a good time, they're all up on Tashi Station. I think my Dark Nest post may be the most amusing.
Dark Nest. Is this a Star Wars book
series?
Yes.
You're
Save yourself.
Okay. I'm just curious. I've never heard of this, and
that's because nobody talks about it because they just want to pretend it doesn't exist.
It's the Dark Nest trilogy, right?
It was between New Jedi Order and then the next series that they were coming in, and Legacy of the Force, and it was Troy Danning's whole thing, and it's just really. I had many depressed fanfics that I was writing, trying to fix it. A lot of reasons people write fanfics is trying to fix things. And I spent a lot of time trying to desperately fix things in those stories. Yeah, we'll save you. Well, I know
Okay.
you've been reading the New Jedi Order, but
Yes.
I really will save. And one of the things, now we're into ebooks. I can't read ebooks because I really can't. I do that slam the book, or that's how I get my frustrations out. Or I would throw books, and you can't throw a Kindle or a laptop. So
No, you don't want to slam your iPad down on the floor.
yeah, it's not good. So.
Well, according to Amazon commercials, you can throw a Kindle, but I don't suggest.
I wouldn't recommend it. I definitely recommend it.
No.
So in the kind of the whole blogging thing, you've learned to sort of take your own kind of fangirl stand on things. So what does that mean to you that you are a fangirl, that you embrace it?
That's a hard question. Like, I've actually been thinking about it for a little bit since I saw the question on the show notes, and I can't come up with a good answer.
That's all right.
I mean, it's just a part of who I am, I guess. And it's a part of who I've always been. Like, I don't know who I would be if I wasn't, the nerdy fangirl that I am.
Well, it's interesting because you talk about Star Wars is always a part of you, as opposed to someone from my generation who we had to come into Star Wars, and there was literally, culturally, they didn't think that girls didn't do that. You just didn't, that wasn't what you did. I remember being on dance team and someone's like, oh, you're also, because they would define you as either liberal arts or engineering school also in your credits. And someone's like, oh, you're engineering school and you're on the dance team. Like, there are things that you couldn't be both. And one of those things was be a girl and be a Star Wars fan, at least when I was growing up. So,
it was kind of the same way when I was. I mean, I have this very distinct memory in second grade of having the horrible Jedi Prince books because I didn't know there was a full expanded universe yet. So, and I was just trying to explain them to one of the girls and other girls in my class, and they just kept giving me a hard time for it, which I didn't care. So, I mean, I think there is still that issue, I guess, with girls from my generation as well. But I just happened to be one of those people who just really didn't care what people thought. So it made me happy.
Well, what is your generation? Do you mind if I ask, like,
sure,
how old you are or when you were born?
Let's put it this way. I was 9 years old when I saw The Phantom Menace for the first time.
Okay.
And yeah, so it's going, and I was actually thinking about it the other day. I did not even have a learner's permit when Revenge of the Sith came out.
Wow.
So did you graduate? Let's see. Did you graduate from high school in 2009?
08.
08.
Mm-hmm.
08. Okay.
Well, you're younger than me.
I tend to be younger than most people.
Hey, it's all good. You know what? And even everyone has their own opinions on everything. And so, Bria, what's something underrated about Star Wars?
Ooh. Everything Alderaan.
There you go.
Nice. I was wondering if you were going to go there.
Everything Alderaan, and I don't like making sweeping statements, but every now and then I feel like one needs to be made. The Princess Leia book was extremely underrated by a large part of the fandom who didn't seem to get it. So I'm going to go with that.
I agree with you on that.
Which one are we talking about?
Razor's Edge, right?
Oh, Razor's Edge.
No,
Okay.
well, that too, actually. But the Princess Leia, the comic book that Mark Waid just finished.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I don't, but that book's, it's selling really well. I just think that the people who are entrenched in comics don't like that. There are, as a matter of fact, I just did that Princess Leia, the comics podcast, and there wasn't one person on that who didn't love it, who didn't proclaim that it was one of the best things since sliced bread. Did you like what they did with Alderaan in that?
Oh, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And when they announced the creative team, when they said it was Mark Waid writing it, I was sold. Like, he knew how to write Leia in a way that no one but Martha Wells has done in years.
Well, I don't know about you, but I want to go to Alderaan.
Before it gets blown up.
Before it gets blown up. I know in Skywalking Through Neverland, our tagline is never land on Alderaan, but I really want to go.
So Bria, what came first? Your passion for geek chic or your cosplay passion?
I think I sort of fell into them around the same time. Because there's definitely a period in high school where I was not fashionable whatsoever.
I think there was a time in high school when we were all not
that.
fashionable.
Yeah. It was a bad couple years. I don't know what I was thinking, but I think I fell into cosplay before I knew what cosplay was, because I remember the very first costume I made was a Barra Sophie costume for Halloween back in like 2005, I want to say. And at that point, I didn't even know this whole other world existed. And then a couple years later, I went to Dragon Con for the first time.
Woohoo!
Realized there was this world.
A whole bunch of people just like you.
Oh,
Yes.
Con.
I actually went down there. A friend of mine from high school, we had just started college. He kind of came down, quote unquote, kidnapped me for the weekend. We drove down to Atlanta, and then I ended up getting to meet some of my friends from the Jedi Council boards and from LiveJournal for the first time. And they're like, let us show you how to do Dragon Con.
Well, I know when I saw you at Star Wars Celebration Anaheim, you were wearing a Mulan Jedi costume. So I kind of wanted to ask you about that, since I do a Jedi Tink. What was your inspiration for Mulan Jedi?
I just love her. And I wanted to do something fun for Celebration. And I had just finished making a set of Jedi robes the year before, and I knew how to do them, and I knew I could do it fairly well. And I sort of just decided, let's do something fun. Let's get a group together. Why not mash them up? I mean, it'll stand out a little more. And I love Mulan to death. She is my favorite Disney character. She's been my favorite, I think, since they announced her movie. And I like getting to design. So that gave me a little bit of a chance to sort of flex those muscles.
Oh, that's awesome. That's what I like, making my own characters up too, so that we can, design your own costume. So I totally get that from you. That's awesome.
What did you learn how to sew? Did someone teach you how to sew? Or?
Oh yeah. I mean, I've known, I think my mother taught me when I was very, very little. Somewhere in their house, they've still got this little pillow where I think I was maybe 5 or so, and I'd done a little bit of embroidery on it, like nothing fancy, just like the X's and sewing a button on. But so I did that growing up. And actually, going back to what I was saying before about doing Barris, my mom, I kind of knew how to sew, but my mom was like, look, if you want to do this, you're going to learn. I'm not doing it for you.
And wanted to give you a chance too to just plug House Organa, where you can find cool things like the Fanboy Tears mug, which was one of my favorites. How did you guys come up with that? Like, what was the inspiration, or did you just like it happen one day?
Yeah, actually, I had been joking around about how I wanted to make a t-shirt that said, it's not confirmed unless it's on StarWars.com for about a year and a half. And then I was talking to my friend Nicole, who co-runs the shop with me. She actually does most of the actual designing and artwork, because I have the artistic skill of a apple, which is to say none. So I was talking to her about it, and then I was making jokes about also wanting an I Survived the Jaina Solo Ship Wars shirt. And then she was just kind of like, well, maybe I could come up with some ideas. Well, what if we sort of treated them like Game of Thrones houses and came up with like really good words for all of them? And then the next thing I knew, we had set up our shop, and then it sort of exploded. Not exploded, but
I saw Dee Goots had the Fanboy Tears. That's the first time I ever saw that, was when she tweeted the picture of it. I was like, oh my God, I love that. That's awesome. One of the reasons I wanted to have you on is that Teresa and Sarah don't have as much context for what ship wars means. But there are plenty of people who don't, and there are going to be people who listen who do. But everybody is going to, as soon as Star Wars hits the big time, we're going to experience that sort of where it comes back into the buildup. And the ship wars is actually a great way to talk about just fandom interactions. So Bria, why don't you just give them, the condensed, 1 minute, what is the ship wars? And you could use Jaina's ship wars, or you could use the Mara ones. There's a lot of them. And then we can talk about how that comes up in other fandoms.
Okay, so basically a ship, it's short for relationship. And it's just when you think that two characters are really good together, but then there's another person who thinks that one of those characters is actually way better with a different character. So we'll use Jaina as an example. There were 3 different, I don't want to say armies, contingents. There we go.
They were armies. You can call them armies.
Okay, we'll call them armies. There was people who thought she should be with Zach. There are people who thought she should be with Jack, and then people who thought she should be with Kip. And it occasionally gets a little out of control, and people argue about it a little bit too passionately, and sometimes you just want to take cover.
So it's kind of like Team Jacob, Team Edward.
Yeah, that's exactly how you can see it in other fandoms where people are like, oh, I want, you see that happen in Twilight. It's happened in Harry Potter,
Oh God.
Yeah, people have wanted, Hermione to end up with somebody as opposed to another. Yeah.
Harry Hermione, Harry Draco.
Ew. I don't know. Have any of you guys read the book Fangirl, the fiction book by Rainbow Rowell? It's called Fangirl. It's a young adult book. No. Okay. Well, it's essentially, she's telling the story. It's about a young girl who writes fan fiction, and she's a shipper, and she's writing it's not Harry Potter, but essentially is Harry Potter. If you read the story, but it tells about, essentially explains in a very personal way how it's not necessarily about the relationships, but people being invested in characters, and often two characters. And because they're invested in those characters, they would like to see them happy. And for some people, the relationship is what it ends up being. But it translates to any type of discussion. You can even see people who, I watched one day, the Daisy Ridley Ray thread at TFN in one day exploded in this 8 pages of comments. And Bree and I both kind of existed in the TFN forums during the prequel trilogy. So she understands this too, where people start talking and they're very invested in who she is, who her parents might be, or who her parents might not be. And instead of having a discussion with people, they end up just
You're stupid. You're horrible.
Yes. They
yelling at each other.
Yes. And this happens on Twitter too, where you see someone's very invested in conversation. But it's very easy to get sucked into ship wars. And not just ship wars. Sometimes there was big heated arguments of people who didn't want, they didn't want anything that was in the books. It didn't count. Unless it was in the movie, it didn't count. It wasn't part of Star Wars. And if you were a fan of anything in the books, then you were a lesser fan. And then the people who were those book fans became very defensive because they would come into an existing fandom and be, disagree with. So it's just one of those things that it happens. And it's not just relationship. But I thought that I saw that shirt that was on House Organa. I survived the Jaina ship wars, and I know that feeling because there were literally, and I got into some of the discussions. And would I behave differently, older and wiser? Yes, knowing how that sometimes people can generate things. But there was actually, in the Jaina ship wars, there was actually other things that were in the context of it, driving the way moderators had their own agendas, even the way the admin at TFN had their own agenda that was working behind the scenes to even escalate the ship wars. So I always say, take a break when you see these start to happen, and wonder if you're just coming at a discussion from your investment as opposed to what it is. Bria, do you have any sort of other lessons learned advice on that?
I feel like the thing I learned the most about the ship wars was that it made it difficult to maintain friendships across lines. It's better to just step back when someone says something ridiculous that really makes you angry, whether it's on a forum or on Twitter or Facebook or wherever. Just go ahead and verbally vent about it. Breathe. And then type a calm response.
Take your hands off the keyboard.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like I've been trying to do that more personally over the last couple of years since I sort of got back into the active fandom. And I think it's definitely made a difference in my ability to maintain relationships with different people.
Yes. And the ironic thing for me is looking back and the whole day being very unaccepted originally as a expanded universe fan. That was more my core, was that the people who were so concerned about it's only in the movies, that's all that counts, is that the Clone Wars eradicated that, which was part of what the dynamic was that ended up some people really hated the Clone Wars because that was meaning the movies weren't the only source. And then there were people from Expanded Universe fandom who just didn't like that they were like, yay, now not just the movies are the source for canon, but then they were wiping out the part that so that's where some people were really having trouble. But all that argument over what really is Star Wars ended up being moot. And there were people who literally just stopped talking to each other, people who walked away from fandom, which seems, yes. That's why they call it wars for a reason. So it translates the kind of that experience lesson learned translates over to social media where, yes, take a breather, put your phone down or turn it off if you have to. And I have also learned to, if you really want to vent about it, instead of venting back at the person, pick up the phone and talk to a friend and vent that way. And then you get it out of your system without having gone into
repercussions.
Yeah. Into the repercussions. Exactly.
Yeah.
I guess since we have this on here, maybe we should kind of talk about it. If anybody has a ship for some of these other things.
Is this the part where we admit really embarrassing ships we had when we were teenagers?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
I shipped Legolas and a Mary Sue Elf character that I wrote about. So there you go.
I shipped Legolas and me.
But that's just because there aren't enough female characters in Lord of the Rings to actually be interesting. So you had to make your own. Sorry, Lord of the Rings, but it's true.
There you go.
I will say though, Eowyn and Faramir is one of the first ships I ever had.
Oh yeah, they're a good one. But Legolas he had to have a girlfriend, so I was very happy to.
Legolas did not have to have a girlfriend because it was me. He just didn't know it yet.
Well, I can staunchly say I'm staunchly Team Jacob. I know it didn't turn out that way.
You know what? No. I'm Team Jacob too, dude.
Okay,
totally
awesome.
Team Jacob.
High five.
Because seriously, who would want to be cold rather than being warm?
Exactly.
It makes no sense.
Plus, he is hotter.
He is. He is. There's no reason for Edward to ever take his shirt off.
Yep.
Ever.
Nope.
And sparkle in public.
And now some Star Wars fans' heads just exploded. Boom.
Okay, so is there anybody from Star Wars that you guys have shipped?
Do I need to say Space Married? Does everyone just know that?
Space Married. I think that's one of the best hashtags ever. So it was funny too watching when it first came back up on Geek Girl Divas post, because a lot of people didn't even know what it meant. And I'm like, oh, we got to go back to the old hardcore fanfic days to bring up the definition of Space Married. So that was kind of fun. But now it's resurged.
I've actually kind of shipped Asajj and Maul.
Really?
After the Clone Wars. I just kind of think they're both equally vicious enough to be together. And I like it.
Nice.
I think she'd beat him up, but that's just me.
I'm a huge Revan and Cartho Nassi fan from the Coach War games.
Oh, nice. That's
Enough that
cool
when I saw the voice actor at AwesomeCon a year and a half ago, I had to actually get him to sign something for me. My friend was just standing there. He's like, "Is this the guy?" I was like, "Shut up! Don't say anything. Just let me have this moment."
Oh,
that's funny. I love it.
So if there was a Disney one, and there's not really any, there's not any blatant Disney ones, but if you could mush up characters from different movies, is there a princess or a person or an animal that you would put with somebody else?
Honestly, okay, I'm gonna mash between other different movies. I would love to see Flynn Rider and Leia.
Nice.
I'd love to see that. Just what they would do. The characters.
Oh my! Once
just
upon a time, just got a pitch.
Yep.
Man.
Yep. Because he's essentially kind of the same character, but I just think that would be funny.
I want Anna with Flynn. Because I like Flynn more than I like Kristoff, I think, and I like Anna. I also love Rapunzel, but I don't know. Anna and Flynn would make me happy.
Once Upon a Time totally made me ship Mulan and Aurora and Philip as an OG3.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was all prepared to quit that show after season 2, and then they promised me more Mulan and Aurora, and then I came back and they didn't give it to me. They just broke my heart. and I had to walk away.
The funniest thing was when I went to New York Comic Con and I went to the Once Upon a Time panel, and I wasn't that entrenched in the fandom. I just really liked the show, and they're sitting at the creative team and the actors and actresses are sitting up there and they're talking and they're saying Swan Queen and all this, and I'm like, are they talking like ship name shorthand? Because you have ship shorthand, which is, and I realized they were, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and that they were talking about reading and knowing exactly what the fandom was shipping in order to how they would consider doing characters. So I thought it was like, oh my gosh, these people, I mean, I love the show. And then I'm like, I really love this show. So
yeah. Wow. Cause they listened to the fans.
Yeah. They were reading, they knew who was going which way, and Tumblr helps them and other social media helps them kind of figure. Tags are helpful. But you learn how people are kind of, and in Korra, I think that helped a little bit to give them, in that show, to take it in the ending they did with Korrasami, because people were just sort of naturally inclined to that relationship. So, it's kind of fun to see when they do that kind of stuff and they react to how people are responding to a story. All right. So is it time for a character discussion?
Roll it, Rob Dellinger.
Sidious, Anakin, Luke and Leia, Qui-Gon Jinn, C.O. Bibble, Kylo Ren, Salacious Crumb, Bib Fortuna, Boba Fett, Amidala, Wicket, R2-D2, BB-8, I can barely keep it straight. It's a character discussion. It's the Fangirls on character. It's a character discussion.
So on this episode, we are going to talk about Agent Callus, otherwise known as Mutton Chops.
Yes, thank you. Woohoo!
In the course of my duties, I have encountered a rebel cell.
Agent Callus is an ISB agent, an Imperial Security Bureau. So it's a little bit like the FBI, a little bit like military police.
And his job is to basically make sure everyone stays loyal. And anyone who isn't any whiff of disloyalty has to be cut out. So I guess you could safely say he's a bad guy.
What do you guys get as your first impression of Callus?
The reason I took notice of Agent Callus, one, the voice actor. I mean, you don't get any bigger than, hiring a guy who's in Oscar-nominated films with David Oyelowo. But also that original concept art had him as a blue guy, which would have probably been a Chiss. So I was thinking he may be important at some point. Not necessarily because he might have been blue, but that just say they were considering different options for him. And all season one, I kept sort of waiting. I was like, I'm waiting. And I didn't get it until this season 2, where we really got to see him. He almost seemed like he was enjoying the whole gamesmanship, and almost in sort of an evil way.
Not to worry, Minister. Lord Vader and I will manage in your absence.
Just the way he delivered his lines, the way he looked. Did you guys get that vibe?
I totally got that vibe. And I think maybe even being around Darth Vader for a while has kind of influenced how he feels about certain things. So possibly Vader, how Kanan and Ezra are saying, oh, I feel cold. Maybe Vader has that effect on non-Force users, but just in a subtle way that they can't tell.
Well, for me, my first impression of him, I distinctly remember it as baby Wookiee killer. And I was not happy about it. So, and then I very distinctly remember him being a stormtrooper killer. So I was like, well, you're bad and I don't like you. That's my first opinion. So is there anything about Callus that you guys, we know right now that he doesn't turn up in A New Hope. We know that. But what do you think has happened to him between Rebels and A New Hope? Sarah?
Oh, well, that was my question to you guys.
I know.
I hadn't really thought about it.
I wanted to ask you.
All right, so I think possibly, well, I mean, you could go in the natural direction, which is at some point he's going to screw up, and Vader will strangle him. So that's the non-imaginative way that Callus could go. So there's my non-imaginative way, but now you fanfickers, go to it.
Oh man, that's a
Okay, I'll give you mine if it'll help.
yes.
Yes.
I think that he gets very involved with building the Death Star, and I think that he accidentally blows himself up.
I need that to be canon.
That's fun.
This is why I don't write fanfic, because what I think is crazy.
Okay, well, I'll go with a slightly crazy one.
Okay.
I think he manages to do a just adequate enough job to get himself promoted to be a Moff somewhere.
Oh, an adequate Moff.
I mean, they're not exactly known for being fantastic, except for Tarkin. So, you know, I feel like maybe he's not doing well over with Lothal, so he gets transferred elsewhere in the whole shift the people around like governments do thing.
Well, I'm going to go with, you know, that line with Darth Vader said there'll be no one to stop us now. And there's sort of this kind of feeling that maybe there was something that happened and somebody got pawned and they're not going to let it happen to them again. I think Callus is that guy. He's the before the Tarkin. So I don't know that he's going to make it to A New Hope. You got to have some big bads go down too. So we have to, we're not going to, and one of the reasons I think that is because we have to have characters that we're satisfied that they're going down in this Star Wars Rebels, but it's very hard to do that because you have Vader who's going to be there and Emperor's going to be there. So they have to create characters that were like, yeah, they got taken down. The Inquisitor, and there'll be some new Inquisitors coming in, but Cal seems like he's one of the ones that they will give us some satisfaction at some point in him getting his just desserts.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I think. So,
and maybe it has something to do with Lasat's.
Oh, well, I hope Zeb gives him his just desserts.
Yeah.
That'd
be nice.
Yeah.
What is just desserts? Is that like cheesecake?
Well, just what he deserves.
Yes.
I'm just kidding. I'm joking. I wasn't serious. It's a fruit tart, and I'm just kidding. I would like to see more with Callus, though, and not necessarily Callus with Vader, but a little bit more depth to Callus's character. Because right now, I feel like we know enough that he's a bad guy and everything, but I need a little bit more from my bad guys. So I think they need to talk to some of the authors out there that write really good bad guys. Lucino, Kirpishin, and give me some more evil.
Hey, we're pitching a book on Fangirls Going Rogue. I like
need some more evil.
Good job, Teresa. We like when that happens. She just pitched a book.
Teresa just wants more evil all the time. We know. She's our dark side.
I don't want to kill people.
Okay. Here's a question.
Well, that's good.
Who would you ship Agent Callus with?
No one.
Yeah, I don't think he's got time for anybody. I think he's just
Minister Tua.
Oh, well, that didn't go well.
No.
Oh, wait.
Just kidding.
Ship him his mutton chops.
I need another girl to come in. Let's wait until we get some more of season 2, and maybe a girl worthy will come.
Yes.
Maybe if there's a girl Inquisitor, her.
That is popular theory.
Ooh.
And it's not Barris, dang it. It's not Barris.
I was going to say it. I was going to say, what if it's Barris, Bria?
I think they should
have
have
how I feel about that.
him disco dancing with those mutton chops and
his helmet. I love how his helmet perfectly fit the mutton chops.
Yes.
He's like, I have this specially designed to protect me.
That's right.
Yes.
It's just protecting the hair so it doesn't get, because it can catch fire. So he has it perfectly specially designed. As a matter of fact, I think there's something about the helmet in Ultimate Star Wars. I didn't write that part. Adam Bray did, but
where would we find that?
I
have it right here.
Oh.
Would it be about his character?
I believe
Should I
so.
go to the index and look for Callus?
Or does
Yes,
he
you
have his
should.
own have his own helmet section? I'm glad Teresa's using the book. I need to pull it out. Look at it.
I do use it. I think it's a very good book. Thank you for writing it.
Yeah.
My nephews and my niece all called to ask me questions, and they wanted to know why Luke Skywalker cooked Vader. And I'm like, what are they talking about? And they're like, oh,
The
we
funeral
showed.
pier.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Cooked Vader. I'm like, well, and then he's like, is that because he's dead? Is he dead? I'm like, well, yeah, he cooked his dad after he was dead. It's true.
Oh my goodness.
Skywalkers are a mess, clearly.
They need their own counselor, maybe.
Therapy, yes.
So much
Skywalker therapy.
Like, just put the Skywalker souls into therapy and someone will make a living, like, for the rest of their life.
Yes.
That would actually be a good book, like the unofficial memoirs of the Skywalker Solo family therapist.
Oh my gosh. There's some more fan fiction.
Yeah.
It'd be even better if it started with Anakin. Like, and somehow the person lives to make it all the way to, like, I don't know, Jason.
Oh, well, yeah, I don't think you could help Jason either.
Oh, no, Jason's a lost cause.
No one wanted Jason redeemed. Just take him down.
I mean, I would, but I'm just saying, I don't think it would happen.
What do you do?
I'm
with
not
redeemed?
finding it.
Maybe I'm misremembering wrong. Maybe it's in another section. What do you do with a redeemed Sith, though? Once you've redeemed them, really, truly,
We're gonna put them in your basement.
Yeah. You lock them up and you don't do anything. I still, I don't know what you do with them.
Have there been any?
Oh,
If
sure.
you're on.
Yeah.
I haven't read enough to know that.
Yeah.
He kind of blew a planet up.
Yeah.
It was a whole
Yeah,
thing.
and they went down that in a book, so we're not gonna spoil anything, but it's canon now. So well, Briaz, where can people find you on social media and blog wise, and just give them all your information, and we'll actually put it in the show notes as well,
so they can find you online.
There's so much information, though. That's what happens when you run multiple blogs. I'll start with House Organa Shop. We are on Twitter at House Organa Shop, and then you can find us on Redbubble, houseorganashop.tk. We've actually got a very cool new line we're working on that we're going to hopefully have up in August, and it centers around capable ladies.
Ooh.
So keep an eye out for that. And then on Twitter, you can find me at Chaos Bria. And then I write for Tashi Station, which is TashiStation.net or Tashi-Station.net. And then WhiteHotRoom.com is the geek fashion blog that I co-run. And I think that's everything without going into all the other Twitter handles.
Yeah, they'll find you from there. They can find you anywhere. There you go.
Oh, dear.
Well, if you want to find the rest of us, pretty simple. Fangirls Going Rogue is on shotglassdigital.com. We're also on iTunes, or you can just subscribe to the Rebel Force Radio RSS feed, and you can find us there. On Twitter, we are at FG Going Rogue. Trisha is at Fangirl Cantina. I am at Ice Cold Penguin, and Sarah is at Jedi Tink.
Email fangirlsgoingrogue@gmail.com. Got it right this time. Tumblr, fangirlsgoingrogue.tumblr.com. And I got a lot of Space Nerd things being tumbled. So if you like that, you can go there. Rebel stuff, always finding good stuff there, and Force Awakens things too.
Excellent. On Facebook, you can search Fangirls Going Rogue to find us. We have lots of fun posts up there, too, including Teresa, you've been posting all those fun character showdowns. So that's on Twitter and Facebook. And then on Instagram, we are at FG Going Rogue. And we love voicemails. We love hearing what you think of the show. So please send us in your voicemail, 331-21-EWOKS, which is also known as 331-213-9657. But personally, it's more fun to type in 331-21-EWOKS.
There you go. So please Like Rebel Force Radio on iTunes and leave a positive review. And in your review, mention how much you enjoy Fangirls Going Rogue, and we would mostly appreciate it.
That's right. So until next time, everyone, dun 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 dun.
Yub. Yub. Yub.